Good afternoon, everybody. This is Professor Raft. Today, our topic will discuss part one of individuals as leaders. This will continue our leadership section of organizational theory and behavior. I think it's very important to focus on leadership because leadership, again, as I mentioned in previous lectures, is the only of the four management functions that one cannot really parcel out and basically outsource to another person, because then you're not a leader. So we'll begin on slide number 2, learning outcomes. We're going to list the University of Iowa leadership styles, describe similarities and differences between the University of Michigan and Ohio State University's leadership models. There'll be graphs, so when I refer to you to look at that graph, you could see it for yourself on the PowerPoint presentation that will be uploaded. Discuss similarities and differences between the Ohio State University leadership model and the leadership grid. Discuss similarities and differences amongst the 3 content motivation theories. Discuss the major similarities and differences among the 3 process motivation theories. Explain the 4 types of reinforcement. State the major differences among content, process, and reinforcement theories. We're now on slide 3, leadership behavior. By the late 1940s, leadership research has shifted from trait theory paradigm to a behavioral theory paradigm, focusing on what leaders says and does, and research attempted to identify behaviors of effective leaders. Behavioral leadership theory made major contributions to leadership research, but it found that there is no one best style of leadership. And as someone who's been in the management field for almost 25 years, I could tell you that each position, each job requires different leadership styles, and to be an effective leader, you have to have several leadership styles in your toolbox. Slide 4, leadership behavior is based on traits. Leaders' behavior is based on their traits and skills, directly affecting the behavior and relationships with employees. Leading by example is important. Behavior is easier to learn and change than traits. Leadership style is the combination of traits, skills, and behaviors leaders use as they interact with followers. While based on traits and skills, the important component of a leadership style is one's behavior. Consistent patterns of behavior characterize a leader. If you look at 3-6, Exhibit 3.1, you have the spectrum of autocratic to democratic. Autocratic would be more of a theory X. This is my way or the highway. Democratic would be, hey, guys, how do you want to do it your way? Again, the autocrat leadership style makes the decisions, tells employees what to do, and closely supervise workers. The problem with that is that it can halt progress. If I need to get things done and I'm an employee and I have to get approval for every little silly thing, that could mean the difference between making deadlines, taking advantage of opportunities, or just having things shelved or sitting online till the boss gets around to it. And that's not very, very efficient. And the democratic leadership style. The democratic leadership style encourages participation in decisions, allows the group to determine tasks, and does not closely supervise employees. And a leader's style usually falls within this spectrum. We now move on to slide 7, University of Michigan leadership model. Created and used the survey of organizations. The University of Michigan leadership model thus identifies 2 leadership styles, job-centered and employee-centered. A job-centered leadership style has scales measuring goal, emphasis, and work facilitation. In other words, getting the job done. Employee-centered leadership style has scales measuring supportive leadership and interaction facilitation. Now, from my perspective, neither one is good in and of itself. You need to have a little bit of both. You have to get the job done. At the same time, you have to care about the employee. You have to be supportive. Because if all you do is just give commands, you do this, you do that, the employee will lose a sense of individuality and will feel that you don't care about me, and as such won't have your best interest. They'll do the job, but they won't do it with their heart and soul. And when you want to get things done, you need to make sure that an employee is engaged and is on your side and will do everything that you ask them to do and then some. We move on to slide number 8, Exhibit 3.2. You could look at it yourself, is the continuum between job-centered leadership style and employee-centered leadership style, and refers to the extent to which the leader takes charge to get the job done. That's in the leadership style end. And then the employee-centered refers to the extent to which a leader focuses on meeting employee needs and developing relationships. Move on to slide 9. Ohio State University developed developed the Leader Behavior Description Questionnaire. That's a lot to say in a word. We're going to call it LBDQ. Initiating structured behavior, same as job-centered, focuses on task completion. Consideration behavior, same as employee-centered, focuses on meeting people's needs and developing relationships. If you look at slide number 10, you have a graph that discusses that. The Ohio State University leadership model identifies 4 leadership styles: low structure and high consideration, high structure and high consideration, low structure, low consideration, and high structure and low consideration. And based on the definitions below, it's very, very easy to plug those in. Now move on to slide 11, differences, contributions, and applications of leadership models, differences between the models. University of Michigan uses a continuum and making it one-dimensional, while Ohio State considers the 2 behaviors independent, making it 2-dimensional. Contributions, there is no one best leadership style in all situations, and I can concur with that. Being a manager, I work in a healthcare clinic. Depends on the day. I may have to lead one way one day or 1 month and then lead in a different way. Applications, self-assessment helps change behavior, leading to more effective performance and relationships. We move on to slide 12. Discussion questions for yourselves to discuss. Which leadership model do you prefer? Do you agree with the University of Michigan model or with the Ohio State model? Which style of leaderships do you agree with or feel that you'd be more comfortable with? Move on to slide 13, the leadership grid. The leadership grid builds on the Ohio State and Michigan studies based on the same 2 leadership dimensions called concern for production and concern for people. So this is a little bit of the same, just basically viewed in different contexts. Measured on a scale from 1 to 9, giving 81 possible combinations of concern. The leadership grid identifies 5 leadership styles: 1,1 impoverished, 9,1 authority, compliance, 1,9 country club, 5,5 middle of the road, and 9,9 team leader. You could look at it basically on slide 14, Blake, Moton, and McNay's leadership grid, and there's definitions of that. The impoverished leader does the minimum required to remain employed. In other words, he just comes and gets the job done so he doesn't get fired, which is obviously not somebody you really want leading your company. The authority compliance leader focuses on getting the job done, but treats people like machines. Also ineffective. The country club leader maintains a friendly atmosphere without regard to production. Not good. The middle of the road leader strives to maintain satisfactory performance and morale. And again, I stress the middle of the road, because middle of the road will never hurt you. And the team leader strives for maximum performance and employee satisfaction. That's the best, in my opinion. Move on to slide 15. High leader research. The high leader has concern for both production and people, or team leadership style. There is some support for the high leader style as the universal theory. However, it is not accepted as the one best style in all situations. Discussion question. Slide 16. Do you agree with the leadership grids? Claim that the one best leadership style is a team leader. Move on to slide 17. Behavioral theory contributions. Behavioral research led to the shift in the paradigm to contingency leadership theory. A second contribution was the recognition that organizations need both production and people leadership. A third contribution supports co-leadership. One leader is production-oriented, one leader is people-oriented. Slide 18, motivation is anything that affects behavior in pursuing a certain outcome. Through the motivation process, and Victor Vroom, if you remember your principles of management, was very much an important leader in this area, theorist. Through the motivation process, people go from need to motive to behavior to consequence to satisfaction or dissatisfaction. And if you look at 3-19, you have the motivation process, exhibit 3.5. You move from need, motive, behavior, consequence, satisfaction, dissatisfaction, then this feedback, and then the cycle continues. Some need or want motivates all behavior. Needs and motives are complex. We don't always know what our needs are, and that's very important to realize that. Like traits, motives cannot be observed, but you can observe behavior and infer the person's motive. Attribution theory. Slide number 20, major motivation theories. We have content motivation theories, which is a hierarchy of needs theory. Then there's a two-factor theory, acquired needs theory. Then there's a process motivation theory, equity theory, expectancy theory, goal-setting theory, and then there's reinforcement theory, positive, avoidance, extinction, and punishment. To see the relationship between the theories, we will look at each separately, then put them back together using the unifying motivation process. Move on to slide 21. Content motivation theories focuses on explaining and predicting behavior based on people's needs. It includes hierarchy of theory needs, two-factor theory, and acquired needs theory. The key to successful leadership is to meet the needs of employees while achieving organizational objectives. Hierarchy of needs theory. This is based on Abraham Maslow's 1940s theory, which created a hierarchy of needs based on 4 assumptions. Only unmet needs motivate. Number 2, people's needs are arranged in order of importance, hierarchy from basic to complex. No motivation to fulfill a higher level need unless the lower level needs are met. So you can't go to the next level unless the prior level has been met. Number 4, people have 5 classifications of needs. We move on to slide number 23. The hierarchy of needs theory proposes that people are motivated through 5 levels of needs. Number 1, physiological needs, your basic food, rest, etc. Number 2, safety needs, safety and security. You don't want to be homeless, God forbid. You want to make sure no one's trying to hurt you. Number 3, belongingness needs, also called social needs. As human beings, we need to belong. Number 4, mystique needs, focuses on ego, status, and self-respect. From a marketing perspective, definitely a lot of products are created to satisfy that. And number 5, self-actualization, which is being all that you could be, reaching one's full potential, which is what everybody strives for. Today, Maslow and others realize needs are not on a simple 5-step hierarchy. We completed slide number 23. We will now move on to slide 24. Slide 24 has a graphic depiction of what we just said, but just with more detail. People have a need for more than just pay. If there is no money for raises, provide inexpensive motivators such as compliments or days off. People love days off. Leaders must meet employees' lower level needs so that they do not dominate the motivational process. We move on to slide 25, two-factor theory. In the 1960s, Frederick Hertzberg combined lower level needs he called hygiene or maintenance. Higher level needs he called motivators. The two-factor theory proposes that people are motivated by motivators rather than maintenance factors. We move on to slide 26. We have maintenance factors, also called extrinsic motivators. Extrinsic motivators include pay, job security, which is very important. You don't want people running and being nervous that they're going to get laid off. Working conditions, right? A nice, clean, and safe environment. Fringe benefits, good vacation, 401k, and relationships. Motivators, also called intrinsic motivators. Intrinsic motivators include achievement, recognition, which is very important. People want to feel that their work is being recognized. Challenge, you don't want a boring job. And advancement, you want to make sure that you have a way to move up. And better motivators than extrinsic factors. Look at slide 27, 3.8, two-factor theory in play, put out very, very nicely with examples. You could look at it on your own. Slide 28, motivating employees with two-factor theory. Continuing money as a motivator. Money is definitely a powerful motivator. Money will not necessarily motivate employees to work harder. Motivated with two-factor theory. Under the new paradigm, pay is important, but the best motivators are intrinsic motivators. Because what do you do with an employee that has plenty of money? A single guy, single girl, doesn't need that much money. They have enough money. They're not turned on by money. You need to have more than just money to motivate, although money is a major motivator for most people, but there are those individuals that need different things to motivate them. Hertzberg developed job enrichment, the process of building motivators into the job. Slide 29. Acquired needs theory. Acquired needs theory proposes that people are motivated by their need for achievement, power, or affiliation. Motivating employees with a high need for achievement, give them challenging tasks with clear objectives. Motivating employees with a high need for power, let them plan, control their jobs as much as possible. Mary Parker Follett, management by objective. You tell them what you need to do and let them do it. Motivating employees with a high need for affiliation, let them work as part of a team, so that they feel like they're getting things done as a part of that team. Move on to slide 30. Again, comparison of content motivation theories. You can look at it yourself, exhibit 3.9. Move on to slide 31, balancing work-life needs. Work-life balance is also called work-home and work-family balance. As a family man, having several children at home, and I definitely understand the need to balance because I work 2 jobs. I work at a medical clinic by day. I'm a full-time professor at Touro College. I need to be able to set time aside during the weekends, in the evenings when I can, to be able to take phone calls from my children, my wife, so that they realize that there's a husband and there's a father in the picture, because I won't be able to be a good employee if I'm always worried about my home, and I won't be able to be a good father and a good child and a good husband if I neglect my work. So I have to be able to combine the two. Life needs a healthy balance. The global marketplace allows for around-the-clock work causing work conflict. People getting emails, phone calls, so you have to set boundaries. Two things organizations are doing is providing on-site daycare centers, look at Google, for example, and offering flex time so that you have the ability to take an elderly parent to an appointment and you can make up the time later on. Discussion questions, 332. Which of the 3 content motivation theories do you prefer and why? Slide number 33, process motivation theory. Process motivation theories focus on the understanding of how people choose behavior to fulfill their needs. This includes equity theory, expectancy theory, and goal-setting theory. Process motivation theories are more complex than content motivation theories. Equity theory, slide 34. Equity theory proposes that people are motivated when their perceived inputs equal outputs. People compare their inputs and outputs to that of relevant others and conclude if they are under-rewarded or awarded or equitably rewarded. In other words, are you being treated fairly? Are you being treated with the same respect and the same outcomes? Are you being paid the same, for example? Are you being treated the same as somebody with the same job description as you, the same amount of seniority, or is somebody else being favored? Now, this is very, very, very hard because it's subjective and it's difficult to prove sometimes. When inequity is perceived, employees attempt to correct the balance on their own, sometimes by goofing off, and that's not good. Slide 35, motivating with equity theory. When employees believe they are equitably rewarded, they are not actively motivated. When employees feel under-rewarded, they are demotivated. Equity theory offers useful information. Equity is based on perception, reward equitability, and reward high performance. Expectancy theory, slide 36, motivation equals expectancy times instrumentality times valence. Expectancy theory proposes that people are motivated when they believe they can accomplish the task, they will get the reward, and the rewards for what they are doing are worth the effort. All right, look at slide 37. You have a graph that talks about the expectancy theory assumptions. And we have, on the top left, internal and external factors affect behavior, which is important. Behavior is the individual's decision. People's needs, desires, and goals differ, and people make behavior decisions based on the perceptions of outcomes. Slide 38, expectancy theory, 3 variables. All 3 variables must be met in Victor Vroom's formula for motivation to take place. Expectancy, defined, refers to the person's perception of his or her ability or probability to accomplish an objective. Self-efficacy, can I do it? Instrumentality refers to the belief that the performance will result in getting the reward. If I do something, I will get rewarded for it. And valence refers to the value a person places on the outcome of the reward. If you come to me, I'm a high-level senior executive, and you give me a $500 bonus at the end of the year, I'll look at you like, really? If things are that bad, keep the $500. I don't need it. You know, you have to make sure that it's worthwhile. And again, you have to know your employees, understand what it is that makes them happy. Slide 39, motivating with expectancy theory. These conditions result in motivation. Clearly defined objectives and the performance needed to achieve them. Tie performance to rewards. Be sure rewards are of value to employees. Make sure employees believe you will do what you say you will do. And use the Pygmalion effect to increase expectations. Goal-setting theory, slide 40. Goal-setting theory proposes that specific difficult goals motivate people. Writing objectives model are, number 1, 2 plus 2 action verb plus 3 singular specific and measurable result to be achieved plus 4 target date. Goal setting might be the most effective management tool available because it makes it visually perceptible and understand where you need to be. So if you look at model 3.1, writing effective objective model, you could see it in the Buffalo Wild Wings. You'll see number 1, 2, open a Buffalo Wild Wings. 2, action verb is to open. 3, singular, specific, and measurable result to be achieved, 1,700 stores. And 4, target date by year end. So you know what you want to do, what kind of business you want to engage in. You want to know what to do with it. You want to open it. You want to know how many stores to open and give yourself a date by which it has to be opened. This way you'll be motivated and striving towards that goal. Slide 42, criteria for objectives. Effective objectives meets these 4 criteria. You have singular result. Each objective should have only one end result. 2, specific. The objective should state exact expectations. 3, measurable, must be observable and measurable, and target date, a specific date set for accomplishing the objectives. Criteria continued, slide 43. In addition to the 4 criteria from the model, there are 3 other criteria that do not always fit within the model. Number 1, it can be difficult but achievable. Should be challenging but not impossible, because if it's impossible, you won't be able to do it. And if it's too easy, you won't appreciate it and won't challenge you. Number 2, participatively set. People who help set their objectives outperform those who don't gain, and this gains commitment. Finally, commitment for objectives to be met. Employees must accept them. Participating helps. Slide 44, discussion question. Which of the 3 process motivation theories do you prefer? Why? Components of reinforcement. You have stimulus, legal, for example, let's talk about in terms of driving, legal speed limit, responding behavior, the actual speed, and consequence of behavior, reinforcement. Police officer gives speeder a negative consequence, ticket or fine, to discourage repeat performance. B.F. Skinner believed managers need to understand the relationship between behaviors and their consequences, and then arrange contingencies that reinforce desirable behaviors and discourage undesirable behaviors. So whereas I'm not a big fan of Theory X, but what I do like about Theory X is people know what's to be expected, and it's spelled out. If you do this, then you'll keep your job. If you do these activities, if you come in late, you don't hand in your work on time, etc., then you could lose your job. You'll be written up. You'll be suspended, etc., etc. It's important for employees to know what it is that is expected of them and what behaviors will result in what consequences. Slide 46. Reinforcement theory. Reinforcement theory proposes that through the consequences for behavior, people will be motivated to behave in predetermined ways. It's easy to predict that way. Uses behavior modification and operant conditioning. 2 important concepts used to modify behavior, other types of reinforcement, and the schedules of reinforcement. Slide 47. Positive reinforcement offers attractive consequences. Avoidance reinforcement, also called negative reinforcement, employee avoids negative consequences. In other words, if you want to get a raise, do this, that, and the other. That's positive. Avoidance reinforcement, if you want to get fired, or if you do these things, you will get fired. That's avoidance because nobody wants to get fired. Extinction, which is obviously withhold reinforcement when behavior occurs. That's the worst level. Punishment, of course, is the realization of extinction, undesirable consequence, which would actually being fired. And you look at slide 48, 3.11, types of reinforcement, gives you examples of it. You can look at it on your own. Slide 49, schedules of reinforcement, continuous reinforcement. Every desired behavior is reinforced. Intermittent reinforcement, when based on time, interval schedule. When based on output, ratio scheduled. Fixed interval, consistent schedule of pay. You get paid every other week. Variable interval, praise now and then. Fixed ratio schedule, scheduled bonus after 6 months, after a year, after 2 years, etc. And variable ratio schedule, praise for excellent work as it happens. Slide 50, motivating with reinforcement. You get what you reinforce. General guidelines for using reinforcement. Set clear objectives. Select appropriate reinforcement. Select appropriate reinforcement schedule. Do not reward mediocre or poor work. And look for positives and give praise. Give sincere praise every day so that it looks like you really care. And don't just make it up. Give praise when it's deserved. And do things for your employees instead of to them, which is very important for you to keep in mind. Slide 51, changing behavior, tips on using reinforcement. Use goal-setting theory to set objectives and set specifics for your plan so people know what is expected of them. Develop your plan by reducing other life stress. Plan to avoid deviance from your plan. Expect setbacks. Nothing is perfect. Plan your reinforcement. Have punishments for undesirable behaviors so people know not to do them. Slide 52, giving praise. Giving praise creates a win-win situation. The steps in the giving praise model are: tell the employee exactly what was done correctly so they know, hey, I'll do that again. Tell the employee why the behavior is important, how it helps them, so it gives them an idea of, hey, this is important. I'm doing something great. Stop for a moment of silence. Let everybody soak it in. And number 4, encourage repeat performance. Slide number 53, model 3.2, gives you the giving praise paradigm model. Okay, when you tell the employee exactly what was done correctly, make eye contact. Be specific and descriptive. They're human beings. Human beings need to have eye contact. They need to know that you're talking to them. Step 2, tell the employees why the behavior is so important. State benefits. Tell how you feel. Be specific and be descriptive. Step 3, gives employee a chance to feel impact of the praise. Step 4, motivates employee to continue the desired behavior. Slide 54, discussion question. Reinforcement theory is unethical because it is used to manipulate employees. Do you agree with that statement or do you not agree with that statement? Discuss amongst yourselves. Slide number 54 continued. Which type and schedule of reinforcement do you plan to use most often as a leader? Slide 55 talks about another aspect of what we were just talking about, of motivation. You have a need, you have a motive, then there's a behavior, and there's a consequence, and then there's satisfaction or dissatisfaction. And that is content motivation theories deals with needs and satisfaction. Process motivation deals with motive and consequence. And employee action to satisfy need is the behavior. And then you have to reinforce the theory with the consequence and the degree to which the need is met. So let us just do this again, because this slide could be a bit confusing. Content motivation theory deals with needs. Process motivation theory deals with motive. Employee action to satisfy need is the behavior. Reinforcement theory is the consequence, and satisfaction is the degree to which the need is met. That is a summation of slide 55. And loops back because behavior is learned through consequences. That's the loop back between consequence and behavior. And the nexus, the connection between need and satisfaction, loops back because meeting needs is ongoing. Putting motivation theories together, slide 56. Motivation helps explain why employees behave the way they do. The groups of theories are complementary. Each group of theories refers to a different stage in the motivation process. Each group of theories answers a different question. And slide 57, questions answered by the theory groups. Content motivation theories explain what needs do employees have that should be met on the job. It's very important when designing a job to have that in mind. Process motivation theories discusses how do employees choose behavior to fulfill their needs. And reinforcement theory, what can managers do to get employees to behave in ways that meet the organizational objectives. Key terms discussed tonight: acquired needs theory, content motivation theories, equity theory, expectancy theory, giving praise model, goal setting theory, hierarchy of needs theory, leadership grid, leadership style. We discussed motivation process. We discussed the Ohio State University leadership model, process motivation theories, reinforcement theory, two-factor theory, University of Michigan leadership models, writing objectives models. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Have a wonderful day.